Adoption of the agenda, any additions? Councillor Danaka?
Oops, sorry. I see that Nancy was passing around, but I do have I put it under 5.0, the gun show, this weekend, to figure out who is available and who is not.
So, yeah, new business 5A.
I put it under new business 5.0. I don't know if that's a good fit for it, but that's where I stuck it. And that's it.
Any other additions? Is it necessary, Brian, to deal with that citizen issue? That you guys are supposed to be starting construction tomorrow? Okay, can I have a motion? Oh, yes, Councillor Hahn.
Are we going to be talking about the skateboard park? No.
Can we bring it up in the CAO's?
Can we bring it up in the CAO's report? If you've got any concerns?
Yeah.
Or protective services, which one?
Or new business? Oh, CEO's report, okay.
Your bylaw officer will be gone by then. Is it an enforcement issue or?
Well, it's both. Because I believe that if we're going to be talking about the toilet, if we're going to be talking about the porta potties and where they're going to be situated, I think we need to talk about the 10 o'clock curfew as well.
Let's split it. Put your curfew discussion with your bylaw officer, talk to the placement with the CAO. Is that okay with you?
That's fine with me.
Chair? Is that okay with the CAO and, because we don't have background information we're providing them, we're just throwing it on? You guys are okay? Curfew conversation? Yep. Okay.
So you're gonna go 2C3
2C3.
enforcement?
Yeah. Thank you.
And are we adding the other to your report then, Brian?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, is that all? We have a motion to adopt the agenda? Mayor Cox? All in favor? Carried. Okay. No scheduled delegations. Do we have any public delegations? Okay, 2C, Protective Services. 1, Green Light Program. Pardon me? We're gonna get through this. Do we have you guys up here? Sorry, looking at her. Do we have a motion?
Need motion, yeah.
Councillor Danaka.
I make motion the council receive the request for the green flashing lights for volunteer vehicles for information.
Okay, so what I would like to do is have my volunteers start using the green light, implement the green light program here. And that doesn't give them any reason to drive any faster or run red lights or anything like that. All it is just if people see the green light flashing behind them, hopefully they move out of the way and make room for the volunteers to get to the fire hall that much quicker. This system is being implemented slowly across the whole province. The MD is going to that this summer. They are going to be, all their volunteers are going to be going to the green lights. And I was just hoping that we could do the same. But before we could use them, I would think we probably have to have a bylaw that would approve us to use the green lights. And what I would do is approach Alan and Erica and the RCMP and anybody that's abusing the green light, get a ticket. I mean, they still have to abide by the rules of the road, and they still have to stop at stop signs and stop at red lights. And I mean, if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody coming and there's a red light, well, I'm sure if they drive through it, I'm sure nobody would say anything, but as long as it's safe. So, I don't know.
Councillor Gilroy?
I've actually lived in communities where they've had the green light program
Okay.
for volunteer firemen, and it's a very good program. I was wondering, obviously, what the cost would be for it. Is it shared with the county? Is it out of some sort of, since we do share firefighters back and forth in that sense, and the cost for training and different things like that, the logistics of it?
It would come out of our budget, and our budget is automatically 50-50 with the MD, so, or the county. So county would go down. And I've sent out for prices, and I've only got 2 back so far. One is for $36 for a light, and the other one is for 50 some dollars for a light. So I'm still waiting for some more prices to come back.
Mike?
And how many volunteer firefighters do we have now?
Right now, we got 31. I mean, I wouldn't have to purchase these all at one time either. Like I could, do them half this year and half next year, or just get them for the guys the regular guys that attend, and then the other guys get them
As the,
later.
okay.
Councillor Denier?
I just have some questions. Councillor Gilroy brought up some of the same things. I feel I don't have enough information. I would like to get some information on how well this works in the communities that do use them. I'm wondering costs, installation, what happens if somebody leaves, what happens if something gets broken, who's responsible. Like, I just have more questions than I'm comfortable with saying, yeah, go ahead and draft bylaw.
As far as installation goes, there'd be no cost for installation, because all they do is just sit on the dash and you just plug them into your cigarette lighter. So there's no cost for installation. As far as how they work, other communities that are using them seem to be happy with them. It's been the last probably 4 years now where they've been trying to slowly implement these into the system, and there's getting to be more and more people using them all the time. And as far as I'm aware, they do work fine.
Councillor Courtly?
Is there, with the other communities, is there a program, or is there something you can launch for the public? Because if everybody has them and nobody knows what they're for, or is there some way, is there a program that comes with them, or is there something already in place, do you know, Ken?
Not that I'm aware of, no. What we would have to do is advertise, just like the county's doing right now. They started an advertising program at the beginning of the month, and they're going to advertise for till, I think it's July, and then after that they're going to implement the lights. So it's on the radio multiple times a day, it's in the paper advertising it. So they're trying to educate the people before they do implement it.
Mayor Cox?
St. Patrick's Day.
Actually, for the size of our community, I'm wondering, what are we really gaining by having a vehicle with a green light flashing that is driving down the road? Like, if you can't obey, you can't break any of the laws, you can't go faster, you're gonna have to do everything you're supposed to do, so you're still sitting in traffic and your green light is spinning. What have you gained by saying, oh, well, look, I'm a volunteer firefighter on the way to a fire?
What we're trying to gain is if people see the green lights, they move out of the way and they let the green lights through. Have you tried to drive through town on a Friday afternoon in this town and go from one end to the other it takes you 15 minutes to get through town.
So I
And
could
lots of these
see-
guys get stuck behind traffic and it takes them forever.
So I could see the people in the county coming in and they're coming down the highway with no problem. The people that are living in town, they're probably coming down the side streets because they know, I'm not gonna go on the highway because I already know what the congestion is like on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, but we don't know where the fires are, where the guys are coming from. They're coming from all over the place.
I'm not,
They're driving through town and
yeah.
people don't get out of the way for red flashing lights.
If they don't get out of the way for red flashing
We're
lights,
hoping
why are
that
they
the
gonna do it for a
lights, and
green?
We're hoping that if we educate them, maybe they will.
Yeah. I'm not convinced on this program at all. I've been following it with the county. I would like to see how the county's experience
The
is
county
first.
going to. They're gonna be implementing them in July.
Yeah, so I would be interested. Myself, I would like to see what that is first, but.
Counselor Gilroy?
Well, one of the things I like about this is it sounds like it's not gonna cost the town any money because it's coming out of your budget. Now does I guess this is one more for the intermunicipal, but do we have to approve of the county if they're gonna take the money out of that fund, the fireman's fund? So it still has to come to us
No,
for the purchase of, no?
go ahead.
They look after their own fire departments within the county. So the Jusard, the fire department would be funded 100% by the county.
Additionally, they give us 50% for our fire department.
Okay, just trying to figure out how that worked.
So,
Counselor Long?
I, not being an expert in firefighting, but seeing how you are quite convinced that this is a good program. The county's on board,
Yeah, the county is.
and there's other communities in the province that have this program, or other provinces. Who am I to tell you? If you think it's a good idea, I think we should go with it. It's cost effective and it might help.
I mean, if it saves a life, sometimes a matter of 1 minute can save a life. Who am I to say whether we're gonna save a minute, or whether we're gonna save 5 minutes, or whether we're gonna save any time at all? But, I mean, at least it's a tool that we can use, and hopefully, with enough education, it'll help save lives.
Yep.
Hopefully, so.
Counselor Danaka?
Is this just being brought forward because the MD is doing it? Is that something, or has this been something that you've been tossing around for a while?
Leo and I talked about it, and we decided that if the MD is going to do it, we should probably do it as well, because if we call mutual aid from the MD and they come into town, they're gonna have their green lights. And if downtown Gruard has green lights, they don't have near as much traffic as High Parade is. They don't have traffic jams and busy rush hour like High Parade is.
Do you see it regularly as a concern though, Ken, with the amount? I mean, I know there's times in town that it is extremely busy, but there's times when it's Sunday afternoon and there's like no traffic at all, right? So,
Yeah, Sunday afternoon.
Of course, you probably wouldn't need it, but during the day, during the weekday, there is lots of traffic in town, and the volunteers trying to get to the fire hall, sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes we sit for 1, 2, 3 minutes waiting for people to get there because there isn't enough guys to go out on a truck. And like I said, sometimes 1 minute can make a difference of a life. So
all your firefighters live in town, or some? Do you accept
no,
firefighters that live within the?
we have some live in the MD or in the county.
Right, and then some of them work out of town as well, right? So
Right.
they'll come back in from jobs or.
Yeah. So ultimately, I guess it's up to council to decide whether we can use them or not. So.
Any other questions, concerns? Councillor Long.
I like the idea. I like the initiative. I wish that I'll be voting against the motion as it sits. I think it's a prudent thing that we purchase them and be on board and working in unison with the county. And if they're feeling that it's something that's worthwhile, then maybe it's, yeah, we should be doing this. You're going to have people coming in from the county with their lights flashing, and people will go, what? Because we don't do it. And they're trying to get to the fire hall. So I think it's important that we give you all the tools that you need. And so if this is something you think might work, I would make the motion to approve the purchase.
Councillor Gilroy.
If one of the concerns of our council is also advertising getting around, I believe our peace officer is on a safety council, and this could be added to to their work within their scope to allow the community to know it, as well as our nice display board and a few other things that I know people are looking at more. I'm looking at the display that you guys put up here a lot more than before.
Well, and we could possibly piggyback off the fact that the county's advertising it right now as well, right? So.
Yeah, what we can do is just go to the radio station and have them, you know, just if they're advertising for the county, advertise for the town as well. So do it together, and I would also put some articles in the paper and do whatever we need to do to advertise it. So.
Councillor Corley.
So the motion right now is for information?
Yes.
That's what's on the table right now? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Does anybody want? Councillor Long.
That council approve the purchase of the green flashing lights for volunteer vehicles.
Do we want to add the first recommended action?
It was that and that.
Yeah. That council direct fire chief, I beg your pardon? We do, yeah. So the council direct the fire chief and administration to draft the bylaw regarding the green flashing lights for volunteer vehicles and to present it to council at a future meeting, and that council approve the purchase of the green flashing lights for the volunteer vehicles. How's that? Better?
Questions, comments, concern? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Protective Service 2C2. Is that you? Northwest Alberta Emergency Resourcing Agreement.
So this is an agreement that arose last summer with the fires up in High Level. What the problem was High Level was under alert for all the fires, all the bush fires that were. Oh, okay, sorry.
Does anybody want to make a motion on?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. The council approve the Northwest Alberta Emergency Resource Agreement in principle. Do I have to add or? Just a question. No? Okay, that's good.
Okay, so what happened was High Level was under evacuation, and they were, well, part of the town was under evacuation. They were had a disaster going there. And Rodney, the fire chief up there, was busy with all the fires and everything. So what he did was phone down to Peace River to see if Lance could take over and order some resources and order help and stuff like that. And it just ended up being a big cluster because things just didn't go right because they didn't have an agreement in place, and some companies went down, like Calgary went down, they were charging something like $1,200 an hour. Some companies were working, or some towns were working for nothing. Some towns worked for $200 an hour, or some for $500, and it was just all over the map. So it was just a big headache. So what they want to do is have this agreement, and in this agreement it states that if any community has a disaster like that again, we can call for resources, we can get anybody to help us out, like as long as they sign the paper. There's a form here that they fill out, and I could request the MD to help me out. I could request Smoky, Peace River, whoever, and they could come in and do the buying and I mean, there's lots of things you have to do, like simple things like buying drinking water for the guys. I mean, and to be able to charge it and stuff like that. And so the fees and everything is all set out in the agreement. The prices would all be the same for any community. Like there wouldn't be any of this $1,200 an hour or $1,000 an hour. Like here, I think it's 400 and some dollars an hour is what the rates would be, and that would be the going rate for anybody that signs this agreement. So basically that's what it is. It's just an agreement that we all work together up in the Peace Country. So.
Questions, comments? Mayor Cox.
What impact will this have if if a municipality declares an emergency and then the Alberta Emergency Management, whatever, comes in and sets up their headquarters?
There wouldn't be any.
Because don't they draw from all different areas also? And then they handle the buying? And
Well, that's only if you declare a disaster and Alberta Emergency Management comes in. But like last year up in High Level, that didn't happen. High Level just requested help from all over. Like Peace River went down, Grand Prairie went down, Calgary went down, and they all went down in their own trucks. And another thing that happened in High Level was they had, I think there was 8 units went down. Some towns went down and they sent a truck down with one person. And then the truck was sitting in the staging area in High Level with nobody to run it. So under this agreement, it's for manpower as well as equipment. So, I mean, a truck is absolutely no good to you sitting in High Level if there's nobody there to run it. So if you're gonna send a truck down, you've gotta send 2 or 3 guys with it. And we'll get paid for that. If we do get called out and go, we will get paid for that. So.
I don't understand why High Level wouldn't have declared it a disaster, because then the province would have come in and paid and foot the bill. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. If we needed help from surrounding communities,
Yeah.
wouldn't we declare a disaster or an emergency, a state of emergency, and then the province handles the?
Well, it depends, I guess. Like Slave Lake, it was, I think, 4 days before Slave Lake declared an emergency, state of emergency. So.
But they never paid for any of the anything that.
No, well, disaster services stepped in
And backdated it all.
yeah.
So again,
So,
why would we?
but then if we don't have an agreement, they can't pay us $600 an hour, and then they pay some towns nothing, because some towns do it for nothing. Some towns will come in and pay $1,200 an hour. They want, like the city of Grand Prairie sent guys down there, and they paid $58 an hour, I think it was, for wages, where in this contract or in this agreement, it's $35 an hour across the board. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you do, you pay the $35 and that's all you get. So.
Well, I'm okay with this agreement in principle, but I would be And I understand that the fire chief in the town at high level is quite well versed in the emergency management, because I think he's taken quite a few of the different courses in this type of for this type of situation. But I'm still trying to figure out why would we call a neighboring community in, like, why would we call high level or whatever, unless we had a state of emergency, and then of course we would declare it. But, okay.
All this is an agreement. It's not saying that we're going to use it. It's just if something happens that we need it, it's there. And we can request help from anywhere north of Edmonton, and it'll cost us the same for the manpower, the same for the equipment. And they have a list of resources. So all you do is look on the list and you'll know that this town has this piece of equipment and this town has this piece of equipment. If you need it, you know where to get it from. You know how long it's going to take to get it.
I know that is what, when I went to one of those courses, that was what the concern was, is they never knew who had what equipment.
Right.
So how could you possibly say, well, this is what we need, who's got one?
So this is going to be, if this agreement passes, well, I guess there's quite a few communities that have accepted it already. So it's going to be coming to the next Mayor and Reeves meeting for approval there. So all they want to do is get as many people involved as they can. So.
Okay. Well, if it's coming there also, then there'll be a lot more conversation, and there's going to be more mayors and Reeves that are more in tune with this type
But
of.
as far as I know, the majority of well, I haven't heard of anybody yet that's not entered. Everybody that took it to council so far, it's been passed. So.
Councillor Courtney?
So in that agreement, and maybe I missed it, but does it, like you say, does it, you have to supply a list of all your equipment?
Yeah.
And your manpower, so each community that is in with this agreement has that list of equipment, so you know
Right.
exactly what's there.
So you could just go through the list and,
Yeah.
you know, if you need a certain kind of pump or truck
Yeah.
or whatever, you just go through the list
Yeah.
and find the one closest to you. And
Yeah. No, I think it's positive.
Councillor Gilroy?
You were talking about having the possibility there was a truck there with no personnel for it. Now, if our truck's there and we don't have the personnel for it, I'm assuming then you're saying that other volunteers would go on there and use our equipment. How is that covered insurance-wise?
no, it would have to be run by our guys. We couldn't have other people running our equipment.
Okay, so to have a truck up there, we'd have to have the guys with it.
We would have to send
Okay.
2 or 3 or 4 guys with it, and then we just get paid for it. And if we don't have the manpower, well, we just don't go. That's simple as that. Like, it's just we have to look after our own town first. And if we could spare a truck, fine. If we can't,
Any other comments?
and it won't cost us any money. It's not going to cost the town any money to enter into this agreement. All it is just an agreement, a sharing agreement for the peace country. So.
Councillor Gilroy?
And it would take effect as of the council's decision? Or is there a certain date it takes? Because I know, with the fire
Well,
time
they
coming
still,
up.
they'd still have to draw up. This is just a rough agreement. This is just a draft agreement that they sent out. So after it's approved, they would, it has to go to the Mayor and Reeves meeting first, and then they would draw up an agreement. So this probably wouldn't come into effect till next year.
And we can sign on any time then?
Yeah.
So in other words, other groups can sign on as needed then?
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the beginning?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the motion is just to approve the agreement in principle? Right? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
So we have maybe a public delegation. Mr. Willier, did you come to? Do you guys mind if we go back? We missed that. Come ahead.
I move that we add to the agenda a public delegation of Mr., what's his first name?
Russell?
Russell Willier. You need to vote.
Oh, all those in favor? Thanks. Sorry, we were quick at the beginning of our meeting because we usually don't have too many people coming to visit us. So we skipped over the public delegation before you got here.
Okay, that's no problem. First of all, I got a trailer here in High Prairie on East View. I didn't have anybody living there since,
Can you turn your mic on? Just press the button. Yeah. As soon as it turns red, it's good.
Okay, I didn't have anybody living there since November 10th. And the power and the gas been going on, and I've been paying a lot of money for it. There's nobody in it. And the estimating on it, I guess. But I told them that, you know, they have to look into it, because I said, maybe we use the water a few times for flush the toilet or something like that. Other than that, I said, we don't even have the hot water bottle running. So it was vacant. In the meantime, a few things were stolen out of there. It was broken into. So at one Friday, one week it was broken into, the door was kicked open, and so was the bedroom door in the baby's bedroom. So we didn't know who did it, so we put a dog in there. So we found out who did it. It's him and his crew. They kicked it in the second time. They went in, the dog was there, then they charged us for keeping the dog in the trailer. And that's not right as far as I'm concerned. I think that charge should be dropped, because the dog was inside the trailer. Mind you, didn't have no High Prairie ticket here, but he still had to watch the place. So the Jordan Bruno was a girl that had her dog there. She got charged for that, for having a dog that's unregistered in this town. But really and truly, we wanted to know who was kicking the doors open. And we know who did it. The dog can also tell. Anyways, the other thing that we have over here in High Prairie is, we, you know, in my books, anybody's books from out of town say there's too many cops here. You're killing your own town. There's too many here. People say, well, I don't want to go there. If I go there, I'm going to be hostled up. People parked here and sitting in the benches. The cop goes by. You can call him Robot Cop if you want, as far as I'm concerned. Makes a Yui, goes and asks them what they're doing there. People want to enjoy the town. They don't want to be hassled by somebody like that. That's what I came here for. So he hassles me too. I try to be his friend. He still does the same thing. So from now on, I don't want to be his friend. So that'll probably include a lot of people around the whole area. Not only here, he picks on certain families. We know the families, we know the people that are getting picked on by him. So the floor is open. Decide what you're going to do. But as far as I am concerned, we should get rid of him.
Mayor Cox.
When you say that the trailer was entered, it was, the door was kicked in.
Yes. I went and asked the RCMP if they had a warrant for it. They didn't.
Was it the RCMP or was it our bylaw enforcement?
Well, why would he lay charges on the dog? So it had to be him too.
Special Constable Bloom enforces our bylaws. The RCMP doesn't enforce our bylaws. So if he's called on behalf of the RCMP, then he tickets accordingly.
Okay. So it would not be the RCMP, it's our bylaw people. Yep, okay.
But they,
Was it the RCMP that broke down your door?
Probably.
You don't know for sure
We don't know the
originally?
first time and the second time the dog was in there. And then we got charged for the dog.
Okay.
So the only ticket you have is for the dog?
Hmm?
Like the charge or the ticket that you have is for having the
Yeah,
dog?
the dog in the house.
In the house.
and it's just that the dog itself is not licensed, is that correct?
No, it
Or
the charge
is there-
was, did you issue the ticket?
And that's what it was, an unlicensed dog? Not a problem having a dog in a trailer. No, so,
So it should be dropped. The dog was doing his job, just for overnight thing.
Counselor Danaka?
Did somebody complain that there was a dog in the trailer? Like, how did you know there was a dog in the trailer? If it was,
I was called by the RCMP.
oh, okay,
they'd already entered.
oh, okay.
So then the question is, why did the RCMP enter the trailer?
Well, that's how come I went and asked for the warrant for the place.
And
There
did
was
they,
none.
what would have made them want to get into the trailer? Do you have any
Well, I
idea?
didn't ask them, because all I did was ask them if they had a warrant for that place, twice or 3 times or whatever.
Yeah.
How many times? There's nobody in there.
Right, that's exactly it. I mean, why would you,
I have a shed further back, there's a few things stolen out of there, but I'm not a crybaby, so I didn't bother even with trying to report it into the RCMP.
okay. Okay, and you know that as a public delegation, we can't make any decisions at this time. We can take what you say and we can discuss it, but
Yes,
to actually
yes,
do
that's all.
something, it has to come back to council the next
Yeah.
time we meet.
Okay, no
Okay.
problem.
But-
Just to be aware of it.
But we take the information that you have seriously.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So we can leave that with you, Brian, to follow up and provide us the information, because it seems a little bit unclear as to what was the original entry. 2C3, enforcement. There's our enforcer.
Robocop, yeah, hey.
Dano? So,
We need a motion.
No, we don't have anything. We don't have
I'd like to make a motion to receive as information the discussion on curfews enforcement. How's that? So, we've had a lot of discussions about skateboard parks in the last 6 hours, 2 hours. and everything from poopers to skateboarders. And so here's the issue though that we're seeing, and now that summer's starting to come full swing, is the lack of, or the perceived lack of enforcement for the 10 o'clock curfew. Kids still there till 11, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes later, with no repercussions and no enforcement to try to dissuade them to do that.
Okay.
And so I guess my question is, on behalf of the different people that have called today, what can we do about it?
We can increase our patrols. I can talk to the RCMP also. Like, there's gonna be times when we're not on shift,
Right.
so.
So don't call you at 2 in the morning?
Well, I guess.
Sorry.
If you're working, it's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be, if we're on shift, then we will deal with it, yeah.
The concern is, of course, is that we have all along that stretch, a lot of seniors and longtime residents. And so, and they've been really gracious, I think, and generous in not complaining at all, really. I mean, the amount of feedback we've had is very minimal. And now they're starting to talk about it, and they're being a little more proactive. Clearly it's an issue, and I've seen it. We've left here and seen kids after our meetings at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and they're skateboarding. And so it must be really hard on the residents there. Just click, 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 and they scrape their boards along the rails, and it's loud, and it bounces off those walls in the houses. So yeah, if there's something that can be done to enforce that, just to keep the kids down and get them out of there at a reasonable hour, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's posted, so yeah, we'll just, 10 o'clock, we'll shut them, like, when we're on shift, and then I'll talk with the members too.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Danaka.
I just have a question between you and Eric. Are you guys both on days, or do you split days and nights?
We're split shift. Yeah.
You're a split shift, okay. And the other thing that I've noticed now that that it's nice out and the kids are out there too is mega children, no helmets. I know
also,
you can
it's
sit
also
there.
posted.
It's posted. I know we've discussed it. It seems like it comes up every year when the skateboard, like when it's nice, because we have the issues of the no helmets, the noise. I'm not sure how we're gonna rectify some of this stuff.
It's gonna be we're gonna be telling kids to go home. Parents are gonna be calling, complaining that we're kicking the kids off. It's gonna be one of those. Yeah, we're gonna. It's gonna be a problem.
Well, maybe that's what it's gonna take to get, people, like you gotta, like maybe you'll have to park there for a couple days or something and say, hey, you have no helmet, you can't ride. And then the kid maybe once the parents start complaining, hey, my kid can't be at the skate park. It's posted.
Yep.
You have to have helmets, knee pads, etc.
Councillor Long.
And I guess my position is as well is that if they can afford to drive a nice Mustang or a BMW and park it right close to the corner by the crosswalk in the intersection, then they should be able to afford a helmet. And so you could start with them. At least they're old enough and they're working and yeah, set the example with them. And if they don't like it, well, then find another park.
Mayor Cox.
And I think the example you want to set is that you give them a ticket for parking there. They're not supposed to be parking there.
And then give them a ticket for the helmet.
Councillor
But
Gilroy.
just hang on, I have one more thing. I would request that perhaps the CAO make a note to get some yellow paint on those no parking areas. Because I don't think that it's painted, is it? It's just signed?
Yeah, they have to be so far back from the.
I thought
If
that
they're right- if
whole
they're-
place, all the way up to GBRC Center, was all no parking.
It is on the north, on the
On
south
north-
side. Yeah,
On the south side, it's all no parking, but it's not painted.
yeah, it's painted.
It is painted? Oh, okay.
It could be.
That'll be a road maintenance thing. What about on the south side, it's signed, but the people are still parking there? Because it says permit holders only.
That's
So,
in the north side. Yeah.
on the north side. You might want to paint that green.
I got it.
We'll put a green flashing light.
Councillor Gilroy.
I'm just wondering if, a couple things. I'm trying to picture the access points, how many access points to the park? And secondly, is there any way that, once again, the safety association that we have, education authority that you're part of, could help run some sort of safety blitz on there where you send the kids home with a fake ticket or something, just a reminder, you know, the way that they do with the stops, you know, the stops to remind people not to forget your seatbelts and stuff like that? Any possibility of doing that just to ease them into it so they've had a couple
Well,
chances?
In the past years, we've given out coupons, like local businesses have given us coupons, like for A&W and stuff. Like we give it to the kids with the helmets.
It's more positive reinforcement.
With the kids seeing this, that don't have helmets, then they run home and get. But now that it's going to be more, no helmet, no skating. So, but we still hand out the coupon or the gift certificates or coupons or whatever.
I was bringing up the access point. I'm trying to. I think there's only one access point. Is it the one main gate at the corner?
That's 2.
Then maybe we need to change the access point if there's a curfew and they're not abiding by it, to just shutting the gate. If that's a problem for the community, that may be one way of looking at it, is actually putting locking and unlocking it at curfew time.
Do you see any value in that? Being able to shut the park?
Well,
At 10
it's
o'clock?
going to be like when we had the outdoor swimming pool. The kids will just jump the fence.
It will eliminate some though, right?
Well, yeah, obviously,
Right.
yeah.
And even a sign that says park closed 10 p.m.? I mean, even parents that see it, because I think ultimately parents drive by, maybe they just really don't even know the rules. You know, the kids don't necessarily report, oh yeah, we're not supposed to be there after 10 o'clock, the sign says it, but if the parents have never actually even been inside to see the sign, they may not even be aware of the curfew. Like,
No, that's probably true.
Mayor Cox?
And I would hope that the local newspaper might be writing a story on this. So as Mr. Melnick is so really good at doing the stories, take some time, talk to the paper, and maybe we can get some
Education.
education on that one too.
Yeah, and like Councillor Tanaka said, for the helmets too, I think that's fairly important to be able to try
Oh,
to
definitely,
implement,
yeah.
because I know that even the kids that are wearing them, it's difficult for them to feel like they're going to continue when they're the minority, so they'll like to take theirs off and not have to wear it. There's some skate parks that enforce it, but I think it's when they are more diligently, but it's when they have a skate club that sort of is there helping
So-
to be the enforcers. We don't really have that right now.
Just so council's aware that there's going to be a few individuals that will just ignore us. So we'll be confiscating their equipment. Just so you know.
Can you do that? Is that
Well, we got to do something. We can't just walk away from them. Okay, we have to do something. If we're going to enforce it, it's going to be
Do we have to have signage, or maybe we need to make that,
there's some.
make people aware that your equipment will be confiscated if you do not abide by
Well,
these
obviously,
bylaws?
we're not just going to go there and grab it the first time. We're going to obviously give warnings, right? We'll give them a warning. Next time we see them, that we will. Yeah, we can give them.
What have we got for a bylaw?
So we can keep track of who we give warnings.
I wonder if we need to enforce that with the bylaw, and then we advertise that. Because that's where you'll get the parental support, maybe some teachers in the community that will, will help enforce that. The kids themselves, I don't know, you may have a challenge if you're just dealing with them.
I know.
Try what first?
Councillor Courtley.
Is there not already a bylaw in place for helmets?
Yes.
Helmets in the park, and is there not repercussions if not in that bylaw already?
$100 fine.
$100 fine.
To a
for not wearing
child.
helmet.
Well,
No, it's already in place then, right? You just have to amend it with maybe a warning and
we'll probably ask the kids for their phone number and phone the parents as part of the. But yeah, it's going to be a process.
Mayor Cox.
So the confiscation of the equipment can't happen unless you have it in your bylaw, I would think. So we're not gonna go that far yet. But
Oh,
we
no,
want
there'll
more
be-
education. When you decide, okay, this is not working, I want to start confiscating, bring it back to us.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I have one suggestion, but it's not related to the skateboard park, so I'll just let this go until everybody's done, and then I'll bring up my suggestion for you too, if I may.
I'm done.
Okay, that was just a motion for information. All those in favor? Carried. Counselor Long.
I had more than a couple, I've had quite a few people saying that they really like the speed signs, but the one going west especially, they're saying is on the wrong side. It should be on the Buchanan's West Fraser side. So as they're coming into town, that 50 clicks starts flashing, as opposed to just leaving and then flashing, and then they're gone, right? So they're saying it could control the speed a little bit better if we could put them on the south side of the highway.
Yeah, we can switch them up. To be honest, it's a gauge. Some of them are using it as a gauge to calibrate their speedometer leaving town. So it works for the ones that are taking responsibility for their speed. But I've got guys passing the RCMP detachment doing 80 before they even get to the sign. So it deters some people, but I like we will turn it over to the incoming traffic.
Do you have anything else for us? No, just,
Nope, that's fine.
okay. Okay, Public Works, 2D1, pitch-in week. Do we have a motion? Mayor Cox.
The council approved the week of May 2nd to May 9th, 2016 as Pitch-In Week in High Prairie and advertised in the South Peace News, Facebook, the town website, and on the town's digital sign.
Councillor Danaka.
I'm assuming this is using the same format that worked so wonderfully last year.
Yes, it's worked well. It's cut our costs down.
Perfect.
Also, with the help of Chief Melnick, the wood waste costs have come down. We've contacted him a couple of times now to allow for burning out back of the shop, and he's graciously approved that on certain conditions. So that has also cut down our costs.
Is that just transportation, or, yeah, what's the cost otherwise?
Hauling the wood out of town. We went from hauling, probably 100 loads of branches down to hauling 6 loads of ash and stumps and stuff like that.
Comments, questions? You guys are all good with, you understand what our pitch-in week is? I guess you've been here long enough and you're okay.
We can take it,
Okay.
it is a great service.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. Mayor Cox.
Do you have batteries? Do you have a place for batteries?
Yep.
Household, all the different kinds of batteries?
Yes, we take all those, and we set them aside, and then they're taken to the appropriate place to the landfill.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Gilroy.
Will there be a sheet again, either put in the, or list in the newspaper of exactly what they're going to recycle or in with their bills?
I think we put something in with the bills last year, plus it was also in the paper, that we do allow some recycle stuff. We set it aside, for the people coming in, that if somebody wants to try and recycle, say, an old lawnmower or something like that, we do allow that. And CO Martinson is one of the worst culprits.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Uh, 3A1, regular meeting of council, March 22nd, 2016. Motion to accept the minutes. Councillor Long.
Council approved the minutes from the March 22nd, 2016 regular meeting, council as presented.
Councillor Gilroy.
Just a question on page 26, motion 17816. I thought when we had talked about this particular one, we amended it to allow a town employee to be designated to go, because at one point I thought we were talking about our public works manager going with one counselor to the airport infrastructure program.
That there would be an administration decision, not a council decision. So that doesn't need to be in the motion.
Any other omissions or? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Time extension 5A1. Oh. Five point zero gun show, sorry, Councillor Tanaka. Councillor Tanaka.
I make a motion that council decide who is available to do shifts at the gun show this weekend.
I sent in an email. You sent in an email already. You're signed up. Mayor Cox is. Are you guys, Councillor Long?
I'll be just coming back from the city. I've got medical doctor appointments and stuff. So I'll be back late Friday. I don't think I'll be able to do it. And I work Sunday.
Okay. Councillor Courtley, are you around at all on the weekend?
I'm already signed up from 4 to 6 on Saturday.
So Nancy, what are you needing to
What's
fill?
that, sorry?
You're booked from 3 to 5
Oh, 3 to
Saturday.
5, sorry. I think Sunday's the big thing with people.
Sunday, it's nobody.
Yeah.
So for the trade show, we had 2 people manning the booth, and we had at least 1 counselor and then 1 administration staff for the entire time. Because I think that was when we had Kelly Shalafu, and he was in the booth the entire time. Now, do we want to do this differently, where just 1 person manning the booth and then rotating it between administration and council? Isn't that what we had talked about when we had just made that decision? Councilor Tanaka?
When Nancy had passed around the form for the hours, that's something that I had said maybe we should have 2. So on the Saturday, I'm overlapping you for an hour.
I saw that.
Because I think 2 people should be at the booth, if at all possible.
Brian?
Nancy and I had also talked about taking shifts on the weekend. So we'll just wait to see where council has designated our times, and we'll fill in, both of us, to cover off.
How many hours in total?
13 and a half.
Everybody that can do about 2 hours, maybe?
What times it start on Saturday? 9?
Saturday is 9.
See, there won't be anybody there between 9 and 10 on Saturday morning. You think?
I think it's a really busy show, that one, yeah.
It's
Packed. You got the busiest shift.
You'd be the most popular person there.
I took the 9 to 10 because there was nobody there.
Councillor Gilroy.
As much as I may sound a little hypocritical because I'm not able to work the Sunday, I think one of the key shifts probably has to be the 1 o'clock where they're doing the draw. That we need probably a counselor there for that, to do the, was it 3 draws that they're doing?
On Sunday?
Apparently it's 3 draws at 1 o'clock, so I think we do need a counselor there for that, but I'm unavailable.
What are you doing on Sundays?
You must be done by noon.
We finished at 5 last week.
I don't know why.
You want to try it? Sunday? Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, well, I can do some time on Sunday if we don't have people that step up or that can do it or. Yeah, no. No worries. I'm sure I'm sure we'll be able to fill it.
I mean, noon to 1, or was it 11 to 1?
On Sunday?
1:30? Yeah, sure, why
Well,
not?
what ones would you like?
Mark me down.
Just fill in the
Something there
blanks.
for the 1 o'clock, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to do the one?
sure.
Now we probably need though administration there with set up and tear down if you guys are setting up a booth, right?
We're setting up on Friday.
Okay.
We can start at 11, except to go in to set up.
Anytime after 11.
And what we'll do is we'll talk to Daryl and then we'll just ask him if we can leave it set up and then we'll take it down on Monday. We have more staff here. What we'll do is I'll have Nancy send you guys, email you all a copy of the times and that we have, and then we'll fill in with Nancy and myself to cover off.
When we did the trade show, Councillor Tanaka had a good suggestion where we had a ballot that was questions that we were, at this time, we were looking at budgeting.
Yeah, it was more of a, it was at the trade show, that I thought we would have some, like, short questionnaire just to gauge and stuff, but I don't know if that would fit with this type of a show, because there's gonna be lots of out-of-town people there, and I don't necessarily think that we'll get.
Well, I wasn't thinking so much our town budgeting, but we're just bringing up some bylaw issues. That might be an interesting way to start informing the public about the 10 o'clock curfew, the helmets at the skate park. It could just be on the ballot, like some of the bylaws that we're wanting to make sure that people are aware of. That might be an opportunity. Or did you know, or what time is the town bylaw, or the town curfew for Mayor Cox?
Actually, I think that if we had some handouts, brochure handouts, and I think
Yeah, we have pamphlets for probably 90% of our bylaws, so we can have some handout. Yeah.
Councillor Gilroy?
I suggested to Nancy earlier, and she was very appreciative of this one. I was putting words in your mouth. That maybe we could have the new fee schedule, copy of the new fee schedule there so people can see the fees. But also, we have a really good children's booklet. I know my kids love it when they were given it.
That
I don't know
coloring
if we
book?
have a bunch of those. They'd be great to have a stack of those to hand out. You know, I think, you know, the little blue and white one, or anything, anything that can make people go away with a good remembrance of High Prairie if they're from out of town.
and you,
Candy. Mayor Cox?
hey, and you think the fees bylaw will, or the fees will make them feel better?
It will if they know what they're paying for,
Ah.
as opposed to not having a clue about different fees for different services within town. Actually, it might be quite encouraging for some to be able to ask questions at that point.
Okay, take me off the list. No candy. You're gonna advise yourself.
At the trade show, we did provide the coloring book and crayons that we have for the town, and like we did have those handouts, but. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. 5 5A1, time extension request audit. Motion, Donna? Councillor Danaka?
The council approves the CAO's request for a ministerial order granting an extension of time to May 31st, 2016 for the completion of the Town of High Prairie's financial audit.
Mr. Martinson, do you want to talk to that?
In discussion with our auditors on Friday, they suggested that we ask for an extension. They said it shouldn't be a problem because we're in the process of filling the treasurer's position with the Town of High Prairie. And they basically told us, give us a form letter to send. So it's drafted up, ready to go tomorrow. All we need is the motion to be put in, what councillor had made the motion.
Any questions? All those in favor? Carried.
5B1.
It's 150th birthday. Go ahead, Brad.
Just before council, I handed out, give you another application that we had received after the agenda was made, so we just included it so you can debate on either one of them.
Okay, do I have a motion? Councillor Gilroy.
I make a motion that councillor discuss the two candidates and approve one as the member of the SESCI Centennial Committee.
It's not really a motion.
It's an action.
It's a good action that we're going to do.
Okay, Michael did best. Go.
Go for it, Mike.
I don't have any problem in allowing both to attend and become a part of it. This is a great organization. We had a lot of fun and there's a lot of good ideas. Pardon me?
Well, we have terms of reference and we're guided by those terms of reference. So, Councillor Long, do we have a motion?
So my motion is that council appoint Linda Kosveld and Lori Matthews to the Sesquicentennial Committee.
No,
It goes beyond our numbers.
you don't. We have terms of reference and the numbers are
It's over the
set.
numbers of the members at large.
Sorry.
Pick one.
Linda Kosveld as a member of the Sesquicentennial Committee only by default that she was in earlier.
Mayor Cox.
And I would have to support that motion in the sense that we may have some people falling off during the term of this committee, and that we keep Ms. Matthews on file and ask for her time and effort if and when we have an opening.
Yep. And I have no problems in giving her a call to let her know that as well. One less thing for you to do.
The other thing that I'd like us to maybe consider, and after one, having a meeting, and two, being at another meeting today where I discussed the previous meeting, where the county had no involvement, like we haven't included the county as part of the member, like we haven't invited them to be a member. I was considering, because I knew that we had these two requests for memberships, and I know that one of the, and I think it was Councillor Gilroy too, that had spoke to Lori at the Recreation Board and saw that connection with Recreation and this committee, needing facilities, being able to work with Recreation, like we were probably going to be needing them. I wonder if there's value in amending our terms of reference to include a member from Recreation, like, because she's actually the member from Recreation. And that would be 50% county, 50% town, so we do have some county involvement. The meeting I was at today, I had Ann Stewart there, and she had asked if we would bring a request to their council. I said, well, we're not really looking for a county member, but I mean, maybe that way we still get some sort of support, and we've already got the interest here. Mayor Cox?
The recreation director is a paid employee of the recreation board, and I'm certainly sure that if she was invited to the meeting, that she would be, again, part of the committee. I don't think we need to actually put more people on the committee, but who have you chosen a chair yet?
Yes, Michael's the chair.
So I think it's actually up to the chair to make some of these decisions, because the terms of reference are already set and approved by the council. If he feels he needs more people on the board, he could bring it back to council to say, well, okay, we need an amendment. But that's my feeling on it.
Councillor Gilroy?
One of the things brought up at our sesquicentennial, anyway, the meeting, was that working with what our MLA had said as well was multiple collaborations. So we were talking about county as well, and possibly seeing how they're working together so we can tap into some extra funds and things like that, not just the funds that we have as a town, but making it truly a very beneficial thing. I think that in this particular case, I'm torn between the two. I like the idea of possibly having it sent back at this point back to the committee to see what they would think, because we meet next Tuesday, and see if they would like to have an extra member, as you said, in that, then bring it back at the next meeting. I mean, 2 weeks is not going to make a big difference as to how this operates, but to show support and have any extra questions that the committee may have for the council, if we can get them resolved as soon as possible, I think that would be a far better step than trying to decide today which of the two candidates.
Councillor Long?
Well, currently, the way it's structured and the way our policy is created is there's not really much for discussion. We have a full board, and so again we have to look at that, and we don't want it so cumbersome. That's another issue that you want to look at. Insofar as the funding, we're okay. Like, I think we've got a lot of opportunities and a fair bit of planning ahead, budget-wise. The council has put money aside, so I don't think we need to go to the county with cap in hand saying, hey. But that's just an opinion. I mean, more the better, I suppose. But again, we have a policy in place. We have our board structure, and we see this all the time. We see people coming in months after or weeks after wanting to put their name in the hat for one committee or another. And it's unfortunate. We'd like to take everybody, but I don't think you can. So we'll be able to talk about it on the 19th.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. For the record, I would like to see that we invite the recreation director to our meetings, and maybe you can consider that as chair, Mike. 5B2, National Day of Mourning.
Okay.
Councillor Dinaga.
The council declare April 28th, 2016 National Day of Mourning and direct administration to lower the flags to half-mast.
Any questions? Councillor Gilroy.
Just a little bit of a note, remembering that not only is it in the Canadian heritage, but also it's recognized by the government of Alberta that this is a national day, and it is under the requirements that you can, or the legal requirements that you're allowed to lower the flag, so I'm in full support of it.
Mayor Cox.
Could you place that on the digital sign also, so that people know why the flags are being lowered to half-mast?
That's exactly what I had written there. Perfect. Anything else? All those favor? Carried. 5B3, the High Prairie Forest Advisory Council. Do I have a motion? Mayor Cox.
The council appoint Mayor Cox to be a representative on the High Prairie Forest Resource Advisory Council, subject to approving the terms of reference for the committee.
Questions, comments? Councillor Gilroy.
I have a hard time with this one, to be honest. The timing, it has not been in place for a number of years, and suddenly when Toko is looking to renew their lease, suddenly they come up. My concern is if we, I feel like I'm being backed in the corner, to be honest. If I don't support this, am I risking anything from West Fraser? Because they're in a joint thing with this. And if I do support it, then I go against my conscience as to how I feel right now about the fact that I want Toko to, we're supposed to go into other discussions before we make a comment about their renewed lease. So I'm just...
Councillor Long.
I think they're two different issues, and over and above that, if we were to be a part of or not be a part of, I don't think there would be ramifications from West Fraser or from Toko. They don't play that way. This one is going to give us an opportunity, being a forestry town, to have our foot in the door to find out what's going on, and it will help us allay the fears and the rumors about, is Toko coming or are they not coming, what's going on here, what's going on there. We'll know because we'll be a part of that organization. So I think it's a good thing. One more committee. I don't particularly like committees in general, but this one it's important to our livelihood in this town, and everybody would be feeling the pain 100-fold if that place folds down, and we need to have somebody in there from a political standpoint to be the advocate for them, and also to be an advocate for or a conduit for the community to let them know what's going on. So I think you're okay. Your conscience should be good. It will let you sleep.
You'll be fine.
Councillor Danaka.
I'll give you a hug. Okay, we're good.
No hugging.
No.
Mayor Cox.
I would have to echo what Councillor Long has said. That is why I put my name forward. I think this is a very political type of advisory council, and I think we need to have our foot in the door and be part of this, because we actually do have an agenda here. We want to know what is going on with West Fraser and Tolko, and we want to be able to get the straight goods. So that's why I'm supportive of participating in this committee.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Application for donation, High Prairie Native Friendship Center. Do I have a motion? Councillor Danaka.
The council approved the High Prairie Native Friendship Center's request for $500 for the Aboriginal Days from the Legislative Service account number 2117712345670 grants organizations individuals in 2016.
Comments, questions? Councillor Danaka.
I just, in reading what we're at for the, what's left in that account, I don't know if that's an up-to-date amount though, of $93.32, because that doesn't include what we gave to the FCSS for the 1,000. So I'm not exactly sure where we're at. That's why I only said 500, because I'm not really sure.
Mr. Martinson.
I took that numbers off of the last budget meeting, the special meeting we had at the council, and Herman had outlined everything that was taken off to that time. So there was one that wasn't approved, $1,000, one wasn't off of there. So this number should be actually at 8,000, but it wasn't approved by council yet. So this was the number that he'd give on page 9 of the budget report, so.
Councillor Gilroy?
That's my fault for confusion, because I was looking at apparently something that was approved in 2015, and I wasn't sure whether or not that $2,000 had been allocated out of the 216 budget, even though it was approved by 215, or whether it came out of the 215 budget. And so that's where some of the confusion went to, and our CAO was kind enough to help me with that one.
Any other comments? I just wanted to say, and maybe I misunderstood it, it looked to me like there's a pending request to the county and a pending request on their projected cash flow of 1,000 for the town. And they're only looking at $3,800 worth of expenses. So they may be asking for more than they actually needed. So if they were to receive 500 from the town and 500 from the county, they would still cover their expenses. And it seems to be the only two municipalities, like they haven't reached out to First Nation communities, only to the town and the county. So there may be other funding sources for them, since this is a Aboriginal event. Councillor Gilroy.
I was just a little confused with their in-kind donation revenue and their expense, volunteer hours on both. Volunteer hours, 10 hours at $15 times 10 people as an in-kind donation, and then volunteer hours, 10 hours at $15 times 10 people at $1,500.
Well, they've got it in as a revenue and as an expense, yeah.
Just kind of, but they offset each other anyway, so.
And all those in favor? Carried. I did want to say they did a very good job, Brian, of filling out your forms and handing in all that information. Yeah, did a very good job of that. Yeah. 5B6? 5. Oh. Road closure. Oh, all right, sorry. Do I have a motion? Councillor Long.
That council approved the road closure of 51st Avenue at 49th Street on Tuesday, June 21st, 2016, between the hours of 5:30 and 9 p.m. in order for the High Prairie Native Friendship Center to host Aboriginal Days, subject to the High Prairie Native Friendship Center providing signatures from all the business owners on 51st Avenue approving of the road closure.
Mr. Martinson.
We have received the list. We contacted them because they provided the same information last year. So they requested the same signatures from the adjoining businesses, and they have provided all of them, just to let council know.
Perfect.
Comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. We'll take a 10-minute recess. Break.